I stood at the altar, the delicate lace of my wedding dress feeling suddenly like a heavy, ridiculous costume. The music had faded, but the echo of its promise still hung in the air. I looked at Trevor, my fiancé, searching his eyes for the familiar glint of shared excitement. Instead, I found only a chilling, vacant detachment. Before the officiant could speak the first ceremonial word, Trevor cleared his throat. "Actually," he said, his voice cutting through the expectant silence, "I need to say something." A cold dread trickled down my spine. He didn't look at me. He pivoted to face our assembled friends and family. "I can't do this," he announced, his tone bizarrely conversational. "I've been thinking about it for weeks. I can't marry someone so pathetic." The word, pathetic, detonated in the quiet space. A collective gasp swept through the rows of guests, followed by the unmistakable hushed rustle of phones being lifted. He released my hand as if discarding something soiled. "This wedding is over. I'm sorry, everyone. I should have done this sooner." And with that, he walked away, his best man casting a panicked glance back at me before following. I remained, a statue in silk, stranded in the wreckage of what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, as a symphony of whispers and the relentless glare of recording phone cameras documented my annihilation. My name is Sophia. At 26, I had carved out a stable life as a freelance graphic designer, a career built on late nights and relentless self-reliance. Trevor had entered my world 4 years prior, a whirlwind of charm and lofty ambitions about launching his own marketing firm. I became his unwavering support system, his emotional anchor, his unofficial financier. I handed over $8,000 for his office deposit, silently covered his student loan payments for 6 months, and poured my professional skill into his dream, designing his entire brand identity without ever sending an invoice. I orchestrated our wedding, compromising and budgeting, paying my half from my own strained savings, all while ignoring the creeping signs of his disdain. His newfound reluctance to include me in his professional circles, his offhand remarks that my quiet, steady nature wasn't polished enough for his ascendant world. I mistook partnership for patronage and love for leverage. His family's polite coldness towards me, their subtle remarks about my simple career, should have been warnings, but I was too invested in proving my worth to see the writing on the wall. I believed that my quiet consistency was the bedrock of our future, not realizing he saw it as a stepping stone to be used and then outgrown. In the hollow days that followed the public debacle, I became a ghost in my own apartment, haunted by the looping tape of his cruelty. The betrayal metastasized when our mutual friends, the very people who had broken bread at our table, began to subtly align with his narrative. "Trevor said you were holding him back," one text read. "Maybe it's for the best," offered another. Then came the social media reveal. A photo of Trevor, arm draped around a sophisticated woman named Victoria, captioned, "Sometimes you have to let go of the past to find your future." The timeline was clear. I had been a placeholder. My usefulness expiration dated the moment his business could stand without my propped-up support. This wasn't just a broken heart. It was a calculated demolition. A slow-burning fury eventually thawed my paralysis. As a freelancer, my habit of meticulous record-keeping became my armor. I opened files I had avoided for years, scanned receipts for every loan, bank transfer records, email chains where he'd request a quick design favor. Then I found the digital smoking guns, messages he'd never intended for me to see. To his business partner, "Sophia's handling the design work. She won't charge me. Perks of dating a freelancer." And to an old friend dated over a year ago, "I'll stay with her until the business is stable. She's useful right now." The clinical transactional language was more devastating than any insult. My love had been a line item in his business plan. It was this evidence I took to David, a former client and now a lawyer. His analysis was both validating and clarifying. The logo, the website, the entire visual brand he's trading on is your intellectual property, Sophia. He has no right to use it commercially without your permission or compensation. Trevor had not only stolen my trust and my money, he had stolen my creativity and was now selling it as his genius. My moment of resolution crystallized when I saw the invitation for his company's major rebrand launch event. The campaign being celebrated was one I had conceptualized and designed for him for free a year prior. He was preparing to bask in acclaim from my work. So I made a decision. I instructed David to serve the legal papers not at his office, but in the middle of that very event. I wanted the truth to arrive in the spotlight Trevor cherished so much. I wanted the very audience he'd cultivated to witness his unmasking, to see that the pathetic woman he'd discarded was the true architect of the success he flaunted. The scene at the glamorous launch was one of exquisite public reckoning. As Trevor stood on stage waxing poetic about his creative vision and entrepreneurial grit, David approached. With the calm professionalism of a surgeon, he handed Trevor a sealed envelope. Puzzled, Trevor opened it on stage, his confident smile crumbling as he scanned the cease and desist letter and the detailed claim for over $24,000 in unpaid work and loans. "This is ridiculous," he blustered, his microphone amplifying his panic. David's voice, steady and clear, filled the room. "You are profiting from copyrighted designs created by Sophia Lane. The branding you are launching tonight is her work." A wave of shock rolled through the chic crowd. "Is this the girl from the wedding?" a voice called out. When Trevor attempted to paint me as a scorned, bitter woman, David played the audio clip of Trevor's own damning email confession. "I'll stay with her until the business is stable. She's useful right now." The recording sucked the air out of the room. I learned later that Victoria had immediately left, and Trevor's business partner stood looking stricken. David's work was done. He exited, leaving behind a crumbling facade and a room buzzing with scandal. The consequences were precise and severe. Investors pulled back. Victoria ended their relationship. Industry gossip spread like wildfire, reframing Trevor not as a savvy entrepreneur, but as an exploitive fraud. Faced with a public relations nightmare and an airtight legal case, he settled within weeks, paying the full amount I was owed. I didn't want his ruin. I wanted restitution and recognition. With the settlement, I did what I should have done years earlier. I invested in myself. I opened a boutique design studio, creating a space that reflected my own values and vision. The freedom to choose my clients and set my rates, to build a team culture of respect and collaboration, was more empowering than any dream I had tied to Trevor. His business limped on, but his reputation was permanently tarnished, a constant reminder that integrity is a currency that cannot be borrowed or stolen. His late, lonely apology text, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize what I had," was a confession of his own profound blindness. I deleted it without a reply. He had called me pathetic at the altar, seeking to define me with his contempt. But in the end, his cruel performance did not break me. It broke the chains of my own misguided loyalty. My response was not a scream, but a subpoena, not a plea, but a lawsuit. And in that quiet, unwavering demand for accountability, I proved that the foundation he had built on my back could be reclaimed to build my own future, one of unshakable strength and self-defined worth. The greatest victory was not the settlement, but the profound peace that followed, knowing I had honored myself in a way he never could. In the stillness that came after the legal storm, I finally understood that my value was never something he could bestow or diminish. It was, and always had been, my own creation, forged in the same quiet resilience that now built empires from ashes.